Hi there, Craig Bailey from Zen Solar with you for the next in our video series, reviewing the LG Dealer Day presentation from April 2018. And in this video, we're going to talk about social channels. You'll remember in an earlier video, we talked about website and SEO. Now we're going to talk about social channels, and in a later video, we're going to talk about paid advertising. But in this video, it's really around social, and there are so many digital channels on social. So you might be a bit overwhelmed. We've tested most of them, and we've found some work and some don't. And so this is just a selection of the ones that we've tested. And what we've found when it comes to solar is that it's better not to spread yourself too thin, but actually focus on the key channels. And what I'm going to do now is just walk you through the main four: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Because if you want to get started, this is the order that we'd recommend you do them in. And in fact, Facebook would be the first one, Instagram, and then only Twitter and LinkedIn once you've got the first two under control. But let's talk about each of them and their relative merits. So firstly, Facebook. As I'm sure you'd be aware, Facebook is the most popular social network globally and in Australia, with on average 15 million active users in Australia. And so when it comes to the Facebook page, you might be saying, well, what should we be sharing there? And there's a range of things that we found work. Firstly, educational as well as promotional content. You've got to get that balance right. We've seen Facebook pages where all they do is promote themselves and the engagement can be really low. And you may know that on Facebook now, engagement just with your Facebook page, what we call organic social, because it's not paid, but just you posting stuff on your page, gets less and less engagement because there's so much competition for people's news feeds. And unless you're paying for it, you don't really get much exposure. A lot less than, say, a year ago. However, even as we know that, we do find that some posts work better than others. So you've got to get that mix of educational and promotional, and you need to encourage engagement. So this can be things such as asking for comments or posing questions in your posts, asking for feedback. Sometimes controversial posts can work well. For example, on the Solar Trust Center Facebook page, we posted around Trump's policies on renewables in the US, and that got a lot of engagement. Often when we post around Elon Musk and Tesla and things that have quite a high, interest factor with people, as Elon Musk and Tesla does, they can get good responses. So perhaps even being controversial in your post, talking about the pros and cons of some Tesla initiatives, that might work well. It's about getting a discussion going while still remaining authentic. Now, one key thing that you should be doing is posting photos and videos of your installations. And of course, you need to get permission to do this, but that's normally not a big hurdle. The reason these are so useful is because firstly, videos are getting promoted by the platforms, so they kind of get a bit of a boost over just normal photos or other updates. But second, your photos and videos of your actual unique installations will stand out because so much of Facebook is filled with stock images or just posts from other sites that have already been seen. So if you can stand out with unique content, that's a key item in your favor. That said, sharing useful news and industry trends also adds value. So you're really thinking here about how you can provide value to your fans or your Facebook page followers. The other thing that you should do is ask clients to leave reviews on your Facebook page. Remember earlier in the SEO section, we saw that actually feeds through to your Google My Business listing. So there's a few things around Facebook. Moving on, let's look at an example. This is our Facebook page for the Solar Trust Center site that we mentioned earlier. And what we found, we've got more than 3,000 fans that have grown through mostly organic spread and some paid, but they're actually all real fans. There's no kind of bought likes or fake fans or anything, as many pages do. And that's worked in our advantage because we do get good engagement from real people. And one of the keys for getting your message out further is to get engagement, because the more that people engage with a post, the more chance it has of spreading. Facebook sees that as a good indicator of interest. Now, you might say, what if people are negative on posts? And we kind of get this from time to time. People will leave contradictory comments, or they'll criticize the post. And that's actually okay. We actually encourage that or welcome it because it adds to that engagement. In fact, when people jump on to say, oh no, renewables a scam, or wind turbines look ugly, we kind of like it, because just by engaging with the post, they give it wider reach. So it actually works in our favor. I don't know if they realize that, but we certainly welcome it. And in fact, the only comments we delete are ones that are personally offensive. When people personally criticize other people in the thread, or they're rude, and that's really when we delete their comments and we block them from the page. But anything else kind of adds to the conversation. So there's some tips there. Moving on to Instagram, and just a few moments on this, because Instagram is the most rapidly growing social network. So it's gaining traction every day. Currently, well, at the time that I prepared this presentation, it had 9 million active users in Australia. And really, it's got a visual focus. So again, photos and videos of your installs work well. However, I do want to say you need to make sure that your account is a business account. And that's very easy to do in the settings within Instagram. Go to your profile settings, you change it. And really, the goal of building your profile on Instagram is so that we can use it for advertising campaigns later. And we'll cover that in a later video. Moving on, however, to Twitter. Much smaller, 3 million users in Australia at the moment. It's good for posting industry news and videos again. It's also good for promoting your blog posts and ebooks. So if you've got a guide, such as the Beginner's Guide to Solar, that you're using on your site, that can work well. And it can be a basis for Twitter advertising. Finally, LinkedIn actually has more users in Australia than Twitter. However, we haven't had as much success with LinkedIn. And why would I tell you that it's we haven't been able to get it working? Well, purely to say we've been a digital agency for, well, almost 10 years now. And in some industries, LinkedIn works really well for us, for our clients, but in others it doesn't. And in solar, we've really struggled. We have been able to get reach, but it requires a lot more work. And later when we come to the paid advertising side, it's actually much more expensive. So when I say we haven't had much success, it's not that we can't get engagement or we can't get reach. It's just that it's a lot more expensive than the earlier three we covered. Anyway, we keep testing and plugging away at it, but that's just some comments. And hopefully in a future video, I might be able to say, right, we've actually been able to crack the LinkedIn code and get it working better. It can be good for promoting ebooks, I will say, because it's a much more kind of professional audience in there. They tend to read and consume information and educational information more readily than, say, Facebook, where they're much more after a quick kind of snack, I guess, internet snack to read. So that's what we've been pushing and have found some reach and results with. All right, so that's a quick look at the social channels. And in our next video, we're going to look at paid channels.